phone lines will be open. It's time for you to call in. I'll let you know. The call is 07000 917, or you can also send a text or WhatsApp message to 070 56537, 56537. You can also send your question or share concerns on our social media platform. You can actually watch us live on Facebook and YouTube right now. You can watch us live on Facebook and YouTube, and you can watch us as we go ahead and broadcast this program on YouTube and Facebook. You can also follow us on social media. Yes, that is going to be Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at WFM 917. You can also listen live at www.wfm917.com. So we have so many options for you to be in the know when it comes to the big question and all the programs that we have on this amazing station, WFM 91.7, Nigeria's first radio station for women, their families. You're welcome to the big question this afternoon. Yes, today on the big question, we're going to be tackling a very, very important and crucial topic, and it concerns women. And the topic is promoting self-confidence in women, promoting self-confidence in women. And I have a special guest that would really help to elaborate more on this topic. And I'm talking about Nkechi Emmanuel Layode, also known as Sage Mel. She's going to be our special guest on the program this afternoon. Before I go ahead and introduce her, like I said earlier, we always like to have you call in or send your thoughts through text or WhatsApp messages. We'd like it to be an interactive program. We'd like for you to participate. It's not just me talking alone or the special guest talking alone. We always like to have you join the conversation by either calling on 07000 917 917, or you can send a text or WhatsApp message to 070 56537. My special guest is Nkechi Emmanuel Layode, promoting self-confidence in women. Thank you for tuning in. The big question.
Corruption is, in fact, is increasing more. We never had a snake and whether cycle now.
Why?
Everything has increased.
Conversational, controversial, and borderline disruptive. The big question.
Mondays through Fridays at 12:15 p.m. on your Women Radio WFM 91.7.
Yeah, you are my African queen. Ooh, Lord. Just like the sun, lights up the earth, lights up my life. The only one I ever see with a smile so bright. Just yesterday, you came around my way. Changed my horse away with your astonishing beauty. Oh, you couldn't make a brother sing. No ordinary thing, a supernatural being. And no, you are brighter than the moon, brighter than the star. I love you just the way you are. And you are my African queen, the girl of my dreams. You take me where I've never been. You make my heart go ting-a-ling-a-ling. Oh, you are my African queen, the girl of my dreams. You remind me of a thing, and that is the African beauty. Yeah. You are my African queen. Out of a million, you stand as one little standing one. I look into your eyes, girl, what I see is paradise. Hey, you captivated my soul. Now every day I want you more. I cannot deny this feeling I'm feeling inside. Hey, no, I cannot take your place. You cannot take your space. This fact I cannot erase. Can you?
Yes, that is African Queen by Two Face, and that is what you're listening to on The Big Question on WFM 91.7. Thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate you for being on with us this afternoon on the program. Yes, you can always join in the conversation by calling in when it's time. I'll let you know to call in on 07000 917 917, or you can send a text or WhatsApp message to 070 317 565 37. Yes, the big program, the big question, excuse me, is where we provide solutions to issues affecting us as a nation and as citizens. And the big question for today is how we can promote self-confidence in women. My special guest is Nkechi Emmanuel Layode, also known as Sage Nell, popularly known as Sage Nell, as a matter of fact. Good afternoon, Sage Nell. How are you doing?
I'm fine, Jason. Good afternoon. It's good to hear from you again.
Yes, honestly, it's nice having you on the newspaper review this morning. And yes, really, and I'm glad we're having a much more in-depth talk, because I always like to get more what drawn out of you, because you have such a wealth of wisdom. So, like, drawing out of a deep well of wisdom. So, thank you so much for being on the program. All right, so yes, we're going to be talking about promoting self-confidence in women this afternoon on The Big Question. And I think it's also really a relevant topic when it comes to women, because a lot of times we women, we at times have difficulties with being confident in ourselves. And I really want us to get into it. But before we go ahead and to really get into all that, can you please define what self-confidence is?
Okay, so it has a lot of dictionary definition, which the different variants of the definition are actually valid depending on the context that a person is looking at it from.
Yes.
But if I am to speak to this particular topic in terms of defining it, I would say a confident woman, self-confident, a confident woman is a woman who has come into the full understanding of identity, the clarity of our purpose, and knows the how to of living it out. Has been able to master the how to of living this purpose out in line with our identity. And the reason that I am using or I'm coming from this particular definition amidst the other great definitions that we have is because at the end of the day, when you look at what people and how people struggle with confidence, it always has to do with something on the inside. So, for example, you can see a lady that is so well dressed, a perfume, you can smell it from like mile 12, but she may not be as confident as you hope when you come closer and want to start a conversation.
Yes.
Whereas you see someone that is a bit tattered and, just, managing with a tattered shoe, but if she opens her mouth, even with her mouth odor, she can give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. The difference is not in the appearance. The difference is what is going on their inside. Even if this person is looking tattered, and I'm using this as a very vivid example so that everybody can paint a picture that they can relate to. Even if this person is looking tattered, what we see is that this person has been able to do some in work. There's been some inner work that has gone through in the sense of knowing who she is, understanding what she carries and why she carries it. When you know why you carry it, then you know how to schedule your day, you know where to be, how to be there, and that's what I was talking about, purpose, and then how to navigate through that purpose or through your unique purpose. So I think we can with that installment first on just giving the confidence talk a foundation.
Okay, thank you very much for that very, very solid foundation there. Let's move on to what do you think? Where do you think self-confidence comes from? You were talking about it comes from the inside out. So, what makes confidence? What is that thing inside that would make you confident as a woman? Yes.
As a woman. So it starts with the kind of, just like I shared the newspaper review, words are seeds. They don't even like seeds, they are actually seeds. So it starts with the kind of words that a person learns and hears when she grows up, or something specifically to women, or for women now, when the person is growing up. So I would say that confidence really starts from the scripting of parenting. So if a lady is growing up, what was the script that the parents played to her? Whether it's a single mother, single dad, or joint parents, what kind of scripting? And just to put it out there to parents, whether you're doing it intentionally or unintentionally, you are giving your child a script every day. So let's liken life to a movie. Okay, so we are playing out this movie of our life every day. There's a script that we play to every day. The question is, are you going to be intentional about the script, or are you just going to go anyhow? Anyway, so regarding to parenting now, it starts from there. It starts from the kind of words. It starts from the kind of belief system that is created for this lady to believe, or for this woman, this young child to believe. So from there, it keeps growing. Now, let me now talk to the space where let's say a woman who has grown now in her 30s has not been well scripted. So you then now have the choice and decision from age 15. Age 15 is not too small to begin to say, this has happened in my house, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's anything, because people have very interesting childhood. Anything has happened in my life, but I'm going to be born again. And when you talk about being born again, many people always see it as a Christian term, but there's a whole lot of mechanism to it. So being born again also starts from the repenting of your mind, saying, you know what, I was born into this world and born into this kind of woman, and this is the kind of scripting that my mind and my life has been shaped for. But I'm going to be born again. I'm going to change the way I think. I'm going to even people get themselves a new name, and I'm going to start thinking in a different direction. I'm going to have a new design for thinking, a new outlook and perspective of life, and then I'm going to work from that. And that's being born again starts from this lady knowing her identity. We then now start from that. So that's the part of choice, which everybody, at least a larger percentage of the people listening to us, have the opportunity and choice to do, despite how you grew up.
Now, I have two questions from what you said. First of all, you talked about a woman could be raised from maybe like a single parent, maybe like a mother or a father, or maybe it could be from a divorced home. The first question is, can that affect a woman's confidence? Can it differ if for a lady, if a female was raised in a home that was that the parents were together, as opposed to a woman who was raised in a home where she was raised by a single mother or a single father, or she was raised in a home where the parents were divorced? Will the self-confidence differ at all?
Yes, there's a possibility. There's a possibility of it differing. And I was listening to something this morning, and it was talking about statistically, I don't have a figure, statistically how children who come from single parenting usually turn out in an interesting way. When I mean interesting way, some of them go to prison and so on and so forth. Like they turn out into I don't even know whether it's expected now to or not unexpected, but they turn out in a way that is not so good. However, I do strongly believe, we just need to back it up with data, and we would. I do strongly believe that statistics is changing on its head, because there is now there's now a lot of self-awareness and awareness that people can catch on earlier on than for you to allow your so yes, and also no. Answer yes first. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible, that I'll come to the no. It is possible. I can answer both together. It depends on how every person comes to awareness. So when we talk about single parenting home, it is divided into segments. So there's a single parent of the father walked away, for instance, or it could be the mom. A parent walked away, so divorce, and because divorce can come in separate, whether the person walked away or they agreed. It could also come with the person conceived outside of wedlock, the married, and then which most likely will be a single mother. We have a lot of that. And then we have the third category of the father passed on, or possibly the mother. So the context of the single parenting is going to be the dynamics that will change the reworking of what it is that the child is thinking of, or the belief system that the child is actually building. So let's start with the person whose father passed away in an accident, or anything happened. It could be military, and the father passed away. If there has been a lot of investment of love while the father was alive in that child, the child is not necessarily going to grow up feeling like, oh my God, I was failed, my father did not love me, my father didn't look for me. It's going to be a different scripting for that particular child, of course, with the mother, a whole lot of work, and hopefully with friends, relatives, and a community of intentional parents. So the child can still grow up in a normal way. Of course, there will be lots of times where the father will be missed. We cannot overemphasize that.
Yes.
But the person is not going to grow up damaged, because ultimately there was a father and then something happened. That is part one. And then we have the part two, so divorce, single mother, single parenting. That one's not a different conversation, because that is where the part of a child feeling like, am I a burden? Am I not loved? Am I hated? What am I a mistake? Starts to come in. And if the parents, whether it's the mom or the dad, doesn't have any stronger knowledge and revelation, and just like I started with scripting, to infuse into that particular child, that is where the person begins to waver, that's the word I'm looking for now. Anyway, the person begins to drift, and that's where you now have children who believe the worth of themselves and then grow up to become very confident, very not confident children, and except they now are messed with a higher revelation, like I said to you, born again, then we can have a different conversation entirely and a different trajectory. But I would end with this. Is actually think a lot of people from single parenting homes that have used that as a motivation to, oh my God, turn their lives around. So it depends on the awareness the person is met with, and how fast the person is also willing to make that decision and live a different life from what it is that he or she has been scripted with and used to. This has to come back to from your identity to your purpose, your how, why, and all of those things together.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. You're listening to The Big Question on WFM 91.7, where we proffer solutions to issues affecting us as a nation and as citizens. My special guest is Nkechi Emmanuel Layode, also known as Sage now, and she's a legacy system builder for women and families. Now, a little question that I have from some of your responses is, can sexual and gender-based violence affect a woman's confidence? If a woman has had experience of sexual or gender-based violence, can it affect their confidence?
Yes, it really can, because there are a lot of questions that are often unanswered that makes a woman begin to doubt that she's even valued. Questions of gender-based violence. I don't know if you ask for rape, but I could even still include that as well. So all of those things that has to do with it not necessarily being the fault of the woman, but the woman just being a victim of things like that. So it can it can make her ask a lot of questions that now even make her doubt her existence. There are people that from violence they have even taken their own lives. Or there are people on the other extreme that from violence they feel like no, that's the way to live. So they are busy looking for relationships that they are slapping them and all this form of drama that people say, but it's true. I'm a counselor, so it's not. People are not just saying it as fiction. People that have gone through violence are actually still looking for relationships where they will be slapped because they feel that they are okay. So that begins to show that, of course, something is already getting wrong psychologically. What has happened is not like, oh, the woman has just automatically turned into a woman that is insane. The woman has accepted certain kind of based on what is going on in our environment, that she has accepted certain kind of norm, certain kind of behavior and patterns in her life, and she has seen it as her own normal. She has accepted it, she has embraced it, and it's not. So she's going around thinking that it's okay to be slapped, it's okay to be beaten, but that is abnormal. And so this lady is not walking in the healthy kind of confidence, because there's another branch which we may, I don't know if it's been relevant for us to get into, which is, you can have healthy confidence and you can have unhealthy confidence. So the healthy kind of confidence, which really stems from a healthy sense of who you are and then an understanding of why you are. So the healthy kind of confidence, she doesn't have it. So we can't call her a confident woman, but of course it's coming back from these things that she has been through, whether as a child or as an adult who was just exposed to this thing, or even as a teenager. So she will need to go back. So of course, do the things that we've been talking about to change her mindset, be born again, get to a higher revelation, and then get to the original form and the original truth of why she really is, and a real sense of state of why she is and why she is here on earth, why she exists here on earth. So yes, it does affect, and I would say that it takes a lot of work as well. When you tell people therapy, they just think, oh well, until they get married and they see that they're having panic attacks, they're behaving like people who are not all right. Then you say that, look, these things, if you have a challenge, you should visit a counselor, even if you feel like you're okay. It's not that they're okay. No, if you've been raped, you should go and take yourself to a counseling session, sit down and say, okay, so this is what is happening to me, this is what has happened to me. Because people suppress it so well, to work. They get to work, they get busy, okay, it's a good motivation to say, I will never be back I will never be down on my back. But saying that you'll never be down on your back without really healing from the situation is not going to solve it. Rather, you'll be building on an unhealthy sense of confidence. And at the end of the day, these are the kind of people that grow up and become mean to people. They can become bitter. They have money. They're driving the best cars, but they're just mean. They're bitter. They disrespect people. So these are some of the things. That one, you can't say that one is unhealthy kind of confidence. So all of these things at the end of the day affect, but you have a choice, actually. You have a choice to say, okay, this is the different path that I want for my life.
Yes, thank you very much. Now, let's talk about how women can develop self-confidence. What are the ways that women can develop their self-confidence?
Okay. So there are different ways that women can develop their self-confidence. Let's start with knowing who you are, and I will break it down practically.
Okay.
So for you to know who you are, you need to sit with yourself. You need to reflect. You need to know. You need to ask yourself that question, apart from what your mom had told you or what your dad had told you. So who am I really? And I mean, regardless of the religion that you were born into. So regardless of that, you still need to take out time to ask that question. Who am I really? Why am I? What it is, many people just, okay, yeah, like my parents, these are the trained. Saying your parents are saying they're different. That's why I'm not going again with their training to go by myself. No. But you need to ask yourself those questions. If you don't understand why it is you are following or whatever the case may be. So knowing who you are, knowing who your creator is, very important, and knowing why you were created by your creator. And that's getting a true picture of your sense of your identity and a picture of valuable and why you exist is a good starting point.
Mm.
You could also get that, apart from in addition to introspection, I also helped with that, perhaps personally now, with therapy, coaching and all that. I even have a school for that. And in addition to that, there are also books that you can pick up, which I happen to. There are other authors, great authors as well. But because I'm passionate about this, I also happen to write about these kind of subjects for women. So books are other options to begin to explore. If you're still at that space where you're like, you know what, I just listened to the big question today, I think that I know where or who or whom I am. So you can start out with that, with books, introspective questions. Counseling coaching can also help.
So could you please give examples of some books that one could read?
Yes, absolutely. So, one of the, I believe I shared with Esther, one of the books that I would really recommend is Woman, You Are Distinct.
Okay.
I would really recommend that book for helping a woman coming to answer those questions of identity and all that. Woman, You're Distinct. And I wrote that book. I started writing that book some years ago, and we just launched it. Was it yesterday? Well, day before yesterday, on 31st of January. It took some time and some process to write it. So it's something that would really help any lady, of course, that is interested. That Woman, You're Distinct. And I think in there we also share different resources. There's another one that is coming out as well. So I want to believe that at the end of the program we can have opportunity. Anybody can reach out to me on the discovering, on self-discovery. There's another one coming out on self-discovery, and then we would help. So the person can also use that resource, and that can also help them. So coaching, therapy. Listening to resources as well. We have audios, we have messages. Those things are starting points that can help a person with self-confidence. For some people, a lot of people, affirmation also works. Affirmation also works.
So what did you call that?
Okay.
Affirmations. Okay, yes.
Yes, that's affirming. So, but one thing I want to teach people, affirmation doesn't come from the air. You're not just going to because they're not saying, okay, you know who you are. Say you know who you are. I know who I am. No, you can't be lying to yourself if you don't know who you are. So your affirmation should come out of the revelation that you have gotten as a result of your research. Which should come out of the revelation for what you are reading or listening to or even watching. So if you're at that space, listen to, put yourself in a space, or what I say to myself, automate your life in such a way that you are gaining and gleaning on everything that is going to feed your identity and help you with your confidence. At that particular point. Let me see, is there any other thing that I'm missing up? Well, these are just starting points. And then when you're able to get through these motions, pick a book, understanding, research, affirming, you'll be able to work it out.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Now let's move on to the role that the media. But before that, let's see if we can have phone calls that want to come in for questions. If you do want to call in, please go ahead and call 07000 917 917. Have questions for Sage Null to answer, please go ahead and call in on 07000 917 917. 07000 917 917. You can also send a text or WhatsApp message to 070 317 56537. It is 40 minutes to 1, and you're listening to The Big Question on WFM 91.7, Nigeria's first radio station for women and their families. As we await your phone calls, I have another question, Sage Null. What role do you think the media plays when it comes to self-confidence amongst women? Do you think the media has a negative impact, or do you think it has a positive impact?
So the media, I like this question because it's one of the space that I'm so passionate about. So I would say both. And in the past, it seems as though it has been more of the negative impact, because for all that was shown in the past before now, which I'll speak about the revolution, has been a lot of if you rub this cream, then you'll be better. If you do this, you'll be better. If you do this hair, you'll be better. And so it has been pushing a wrong narrative just because of advertisements of whatever product so that they can get profit.
Yes.
So a lot of brands, even unknowingly, some people, it's not like they knowingly wanted to do it, but unknowingly, because it just brings in profit. If there's this ad, then it will bring in profit. So many women started being scripted with equating the external with self-confidence. And no, it's not. It's not. No, it's not. I mean, when the hair falls off or what now, the skin starts to change or whatever it is, the job, whatever job the person does begins to dull out. The woman now begins to feel less because the person has equated self-confidence to her body's position, which is not so. The self-confidence that radiates from the inside is going to naturally radiate on the outside through the way you dress and all that other. But a lot of people are running away from the outside work and wanting to do, running away from the inside work and wanting to do the outside work first, and that is where I would say that the media has not really done a good job. But in the recent times, especially for me that I'm a documentary lover,
yes,
there have been a lot of changes. There have been documentaries that let people know, hey, it's not the color of your skin, it's not even the nature of your hair, it's not how your shape or body is, but it's more about what you have to offer the world. It's more about what comes out from your inside out. And it's a whole. It depends on what I usually say. What you find depends on what you are seeking. So
yes.
I don't know if it has made it to a lot of mainstream media, but there are a lot of media outlets now that have this as documentaries that the person can watch and be encouraged. There's one that even this lady did, Besminaya, she did. But she did a documentary like that and put it on one of this our platforms. Streaming platforms. I don't know if it's okay to call the name here, but she went on one of the streaming platforms, and yeah, people can watch, and just it helps to change your mind about your body and all of those things, and of course, ultimately enhance confidence. So yes, the media has contributed in a bad way in the past, but they just came this revolution, natural hair and all that, and things started to change. So now we're seeing things positively, although there's still the negative part, but we're seeing more positive conversations regarding that, at least for those that want to see it.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you
yes.
hear me?
Yes,
okay,
I can
yes,
hear you.
I was on. I say
okay.
yes, for those who want to see it. Yes,
okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's narrow it down a little bit to social media. How much do you think social media itself affects the confidence of women? Because you hear this word that's normally thrown around. They call it tensioning. When you go to someone's social media handle, especially Instagram, you see all the glitzy pictures and all the the way they're dressed. It might cause a little bit of intimidation, or you feel insecure in yourself, or you feel maybe you have not even attained anything in life at all because of the what you're seeing. These people, the cars they're driving, what they're wearing, and the bags because when they buy new bag, designer bags, they put it on social media. Shoes, they put on social media. So do you think it affects the self-confidence of women at all, making them insecure? And what would be your advice with using social media?
So social media is one that has come to stay, and especially in recent the Gen Z now that it's being called, there are a lot of them in their teenage age came into the advent of the social media where it really started to buzz. And so where parenting lacked, a lot of people made up for it on social media. So social media has had its good and its bad. So let's talk about the good. For instance, someone like me now, I organize trainings and interviews all the time. I'm still organizing an interview tomorrow with a school owner to talk about parenting and all that. So that's the good part. We have a lot of content on social media for free that we were not exposed to, like maybe say 10 or 12 years ago, where you had to go to one library or one bookshop to dig it up. You can easily see it, and you're having much more resource people with a lot of wisdom now share their social media. Now, the bad side is the part that you rightly addressed. So you are not seeing the backstory of anybody's life, but you are constantly seeing their front story. And so you want to compare their front story, i.e. a picture that is well photographed and took about maybe 2 hours before they came up with that look, and then before the photographer edited it and blah, blah, blah. Let's just say that it took 3 days before they came to serve you that look, like they would say.
Yes.
And then you start comparing that with your whole life and for people, their whole lineage. I will start by saying that the fault is really from the person who is comparing themselves. Once upon a time, I thought, social media, so I will handle it into it. But it starts from you. And it is your definition of what is your matrix of success. Because if you have come into identity of who you are, you would define success and significance in a way that is not general or is not by just pictures. And one of the things that adjusted my own matrix particularly, and I believe is a good example that other people can learn from, is reading a lot of historical books and watching documentaries, for instance. So I know that Mother Teresa, that we know, the woman, the popular Mother Teresa is, she's not, she did a lot of work to become the woman who collected the awards that she collected. But many times now we see on social media, because these people are not dead, so we don't have their stories or their scripts out in our hands yet for us to read. So we only see their achievements and we're not seeing a backstory. But all like me, when I sit down with a lot of history books, I'm reading backstories of people who have died. And I'm like, okay, this is the way to go. But many people are forgetting about backstories and they're looking at only awards. So the metric, it starts with you, first of all. It is your responsibility. It is actually your responsibility to take charge of your life and your heart space and work on comparing yourself, or work on not comparing yourself. This is another angle that woman you are distinct also covers. Comparing yourself with a story that doesn't have anything to do with your destiny or doesn't have anything to do with your kind of process, or you are not even saying the process doesn't make any kind of sense. What I would say for the social media influencers is, as much as you can, as much as possible, try to share the backstory. But you see, I will end with this. It is still the responsibility of those who follow, whether it's followers, fans, siblings, or whatever it is that they are called, to actually say, you know what, I'm going to find out the backstory beyond what is just being snapped up here. And if for those who claim they don't have the backstory, unfollow them. Everybody has a backstory. Everybody has a backstory. And I will close by saying one of the influencers that we know, I usually give her kudos for that, Akindele Bello. She's a woman who constantly shows up. She doesn't show up, like on the page, but if you're interested in knowing her backstory, you can find out. Just go to YouTube, check her past movies, see the line of how she has grown. But then we also have other actresses that, they're just from nowhere. They just have houses. So ask yourself the kind of questions of who it is that you want to look like and work it out.
All right. Thank you so much for being on the program this afternoon. Sage Nell, Nkechi Emmanuel Layode, Legacy System Builder for Women and Families. We do appreciate you for always sharing your wisdom with us and your knowledge with us on our programs. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being on the program with us, and do have a lovely day. Thank you.
Yes, you too.
All right, that is it on the big question this afternoon. I am Timi Tokwe Ulule. Remember, the big question is where we propose solutions to issues affecting us as a nation and as citizens. Join me tomorrow afternoon at 12:15 for another episode of The Big Question. Thank you for listening.
To sponsor this program, call the number 0816 480 7613.
The Big Question.
Corruption is, in fact, is increasing more. We never had a snake and whether Python and swallow money.
Wow.
Everything has increased.
Conversational, controversial, and borderline disruptive. The Big Question. Mondays through Fridays at 12:15 p.m. on Your Women Radio WFM 91.7.